Dr. Louis Cady is a board-certified psychiatrist and a fellow of the American Psychiatric Association. His medical training was at the University of Texas Medical Branch in Galveston, and his internship and residency in psychiatry was at the esteemed Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. Dr. Cady began a conventional practice of psychiatry in 1993, but realized that not all of his patients were getting well. He subsequently did age management medicine training at Cenegenics Medical Institute in Las Vegas, Nevada, and began integrating vitamins and nutritional supplements and hormones into his practice. In 2005, he was introduced to the first generation BioPhotonic scanner and began using it in his practice, ultimately writing the now famous Cady White Paper. So for those of you that are here today as skeptics, and remember we love the skeptics because you will continue to ask all your questions before you make a decision. And the Cady White Paper is where we start every single physician. It's the go-to paper because it's so comprehensive in nature. It was initially written in 2006 and has recently been revised with current research after his research on the scanner and on the Pharmanex line of products. As a noted speaker and presenter, Dr. Cady speaks nationally on the concepts of functional medicine. He is CEO and founder of the Cady Wellness Center in Newburgh, Indiana, and I would like you to give a warm Los Angeles welcome to Dr. Louis Cady.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to be back in beautiful California, and I have been looking forward to this presentation for months since Karen and I began talking about it. This is going to be briefly a retread of what we talked about when I was here in June, and then there is additional information on genomic science that I'm going to present. As Karen has already specified, and she didn't mention it by name, but it's the DSHEA Act, the Dietary Supplement Health Education Act. We cannot make, and I am not going to make any kind of, quote, drug claims, unquote, for Pharmanex products. No new skin Pharmanex product or any other over-the-counter vitamin supplement is designed to treat, prevent, mitigate, cure, or do anything else to any kind of disease. They are, however, designed to support the structure and function of the human body. That I can say. Vitamins will support the structure and function of the body. So I'm going to briefly give you two perspectives about medicine right now. The first is from one of my patients who had this to say about her specialists. They just monitor my degeneration. And this is what's going on with docs. Many docs are dissatisfied with EHRs, job pace, and regs. It was a study of 30 physician practices in 6 states. The negative effect of EHRs on the morale of many physicians was one of the most novel and important findings. Electronic health records, for those of you that are not so saddled with them or know about them. So in July 2005, the Cady Wellness Institute was founded for several specific reasons. First, conventional medical practice had failed me twice. Don't worry, I'm fine. But I did have my own little energy crisis, went to Cenegenics, got retreaded, got on some DHEA, feel great. A lot of my psychiatric cases weren't psychiatric. They weren't suffering from a Prozac deficiency, a Zoloft deficiency, a Risperdal deficiency. They were suffering from nutritional and hormonal deficiencies. Nobody was practicing integrated medicine, and nobody in my neck of the woods was looking at all of the peer-reviewed medical literature. So I identified a need, and I filled it. This is one of the needs that I filled. Transcranial magnetic stimulation. I have the only transcranial magnetic stimulation installation within 90 to 100 miles. This is brain zapping with basically magnetic pulses to treat depression. It is FDA approved. I can make a treatment claim for it. It works, and we've had absolutely incredible results. There's a YouTube channel. You might make a note of this, cwiyoutube.com. You can see some of the patients, and one is just a spectacular before and after. Now, the last time I was here, I told you that the subtitle was A Tale of Three Women. So let me grade into the discussion this morning with some hamburger joint pictures. This is in Atlanta. This also talks about our diet. This is Grindhouse Killer Burgers, where their notion is live fast, eat well, women cry for it, men die for it. And that's probably correct. But I saw another hamburger joint, this one, Five Guys. So I am going to tell you that the actual topic today is a tale of 4 guys. and I'm going to tell you about them as we go. The learning objectives, we're going to talk about antioxidants, the origin and validity of the BioPhotonic scanner, the 3 critical points. You know, it's 20, 21, 22 pages long with footnotes. There are only 3 critical points that you've got to take out of it. And then we're going to talk about age-lock technology and these youth gene clusters that one of my physician colleagues sneered at me about. He said, youth gene clusters, what's all that stuff? And then we're going to talk about vitality and TR90. Now, just to put this presentation in context, we have just now had the easy part. Okay, now we're going to pick it up a few paces. So I want to begin by defining streaking, something that occurred when I was in college in 1973. Occurred when I was in college in 1973. It is the streaking, the act of taking off one's clothes and running naked through a public place. It began at Stephen F. Austin State University, and I did bring illustrative pictures. So here's one at the Harvard-Yale game in 2006 from Wikipedia, public use license granted. This is about what we're going to do today. But we're going to go fast. I wanted you to have every slide. So if you go to slideshare.net/LKDMD, this presentation is live on the internet right now. And thank you. And for those of you watching on webinar, I don't even see the camera. Anyway, for those of you watching on webinar, you can actually dial in those slides right now as we go, so you can see it. And just to make it sure that you can get it, slideshare.net/LKDMD. Top presentation. All right. Here we go. This is the first guy. This is me and my sponsor, Lisa Bell. Lisa and our team is watching by webinar this morning. Good morning, team. And I went and I checked out the Nu Skin Pharmanex company years ago. I went to the mothership. I was incredibly impressed with what I found, and you will find out more about that as we go. I immediately instituted this technology in my practice. This is the original S1 scanner with a laser back in 2006. It actually made the cover of the wellness section of my newspaper. Unfortunately for my mother, my discovery was too late because my mother, in the last years of her life, dwindled away of Alzheimer's disease, not able to talk, not feeding herself, mute, just basically a mental vegetable. And right now, there are 3,928 citations in the peer-reviewed literature about antioxidants with Alzheimer's disease. Not making a medical claim, just saying. Antioxidants and Alzheimer's disease. Also, you can go to pubmed.gov. Most of the docs here know about that, but for the other skeptics, pubmed.gov, type in antioxidant with or oxidative stress with the affliction of your choice. You'll find it remarkable. This is the second guy of the 4 guys I'm going to talk about. This is my dad. My dad also contracted a neurodegenerative disease. His was Parkinson's. This is me several years ago. My wife, when she saw this, said, "Oh, you were wearing a coat and tie even back then." This was my dad on Christmas morning when he was so fatigued he didn't even change his clothes. Those are my kids there behind him. This is in a hospital after a surgical procedure. This is the first day he was admitted to a nursing home because he was falling. And I mean, brilliant mind still, sharp as a tack to the day he died. But his body failed him. This is the last time I took him out in public for his favorite dessert, cherry pie, right there. This is the last picture I have of him. By that time, or by this time, he had macular degeneration. He still enjoyed reading. This was a reader. He put his reading material there. There was a light, and he could see it on the screen. He also was the only resident of the nursing home that had his own PC in his room and an active AOL account. But his body and his eyes and his macula failed. Here's the citation, 3,107 citations on antioxidant with Parkinson's disease as of 2 days ago. The third guy I'm going to tell you about is possibly the most beautiful, wonderful, gifted musicians I ever encountered in my time on this earth, and he was my beloved piano teacher, Richard Brannon-Cass, who died too young at 78 with a stroke. And when we go to the literature, antioxidant with, again, I'm not making a drug claim, antioxidant with stroke prevention, 1,113 citations. So I basically suggest that you go out to the literature and do your own research. Now, could it happen to you? Well, probably, unless you're adequately supplemented. We live in a world swimming with environmental toxins. Toxins are also produced in your body, including yeast and bacteria, and just sitting there, even if you are in the pink of health, you are producing toxins and free radicals in your body right now because, as far as I can see, everybody in here is alive. And if you're alive, your mitochondria are creating energy, and they are producing free radicals. And then emotional stress. I love this. This is what used to keep me in business. Emotional stress. Now my business has broadened from just pure psychiatry to functional medicine. So oxidative stress in the brain, why you should know your numbers. Where is the scanner here? Where is the active scanner? You should know your number. So if you haven't gotten it, please get it today. Why is the brain so susceptible to oxidative stress? Because it burns glucose and it generates free radicals. It actually uses about 1/5 of all the total oxygen and energy consumed in the human body. It contains iron. Iron rusts. It contains fat. Fat oxidizes. And you have your own limited supply of your own antioxidants, and you have a limited ability to repair and regenerate your neurons. What are some consequences? Well, again, this is where I used to live exclusively, ADHD and behavioral problems. You have behavioral deterioration. This is more worrisome for middle-aged people that don't have an identified psychiatric issue, decreased memory, decreased cognitive function, various psychiatric symptoms. Anything in psychiatry that's bad is correlated with oxidative stress. ADHD, autism, bipolar, depression, schizophrenia, anxiety disorder, you name it, it's correlated with oxidative stress. It's beyond discussion. Increased inflammation, decreased immune system, DNA damage, and cancer. Now, there are two ways to get your number. One costs 10 times more than the other and involves pain. Which would you like? This is at least $250 and involved a blood test, and you can see that my net impression was he had a profoundly low antioxidant status. This is from Genova Diagnostics. Here's glutathione. Here's total antioxidant capacity. Here's cysteine, which is the precursor for glutathione. And here's the superoxide dismutase, which shows basically this is someone under oxidative stress. So you can do it this way, or you can do it this way. And this is with the new S3 scanner. This is my office manager, Claudia Brantley, who I adore. She's just a wonderful person to have around the office. And for those of you that either have my app or have been to the Katie Wellness Facebook fan page, I have another staff member I adore, my therapy toddler, Kittrick. So I won't say any more about Kittrick, but you'll have to go and see his pictures. Now, as Karen talked about, the scanner was originally developed at the Center for Biomedical Optics, patented by Gellerman and Ermakov. The foundation was a novel technique for Raman spectroscopic scanning to determine via laser excitation the amount of carotenoids in the macula of the eye. You can't go in there and just scoop out a sample. People frown on that. It was funded by a number of different well-known organizations. Here's the patent, March 20th, 2001. This is truly the beginning of the story of what brings us here today. It was a method and apparatus provided for the determination of levels of carotenoids and similar chemical compounds in biological tissues such as living skin. This is a patent claim, and it was granted. Here's dissolved carotenoids in the stratum corneum. I'm going to take you all to medical school very briefly. For the doctors in here that enjoyed microbiology, this will be good. For those of you that didn't, this will be a repeat of the trauma. This is a thick layer of skin from all the way from the fascia and the subdermal tissue up here all the way up to the keratinized, stratified, or the keratinized epidermis. So what you have, the stratum germinativum down here, this is where they are actually germinating. They are living. And then as they migrate up, which takes 27 to 28 days, they die, and then they desquamate or slough off. The interesting thing is what is measured with the BioPhotonic scanner is up here. It's the carotenoids in your skin, which are a function of the steady state level of the carotenoids in your cell a month ago. Now there is some fluctuation, but basically this is the reason that this is such a good measure. For those of you with medical backgrounds, a skin carotenoid level is to a serum carotenoid level roughly as hemoglobin A1C is to glucose. It is a steady state moving average level. That's the reason it takes 7 to 8 months to top out. This is Sir C.V. Raman, who received the Nobel Prize in Physics for this technology. And basically what I tell people is blue light comes in, bounces off the carotenoids, green light comes out. This is the shift. It's measured. The little green photons are counted by the scanner, and that's how you arrive at the skin carotenoid score. This has been scientifically validated in numerous studies. These are some that I showed last time. This is one from 2000. This is one from 2010. This is one from 2011. This is one from 2012. Raman spectroscopy is a reliable method for non-invasive measurement of this important biomarker of antioxidant status in nutritional and health studies in humans. This is not a rat study. This is in humans. Now, a question that I get is, yeah, but is it really dependable? I mean, is it valid day to day? Yes. And I'm so grateful that Karen stimulates my forays into the medical literature, because preparing for one of her calls, I found some new stuff. So this is June 2013. And it says the totality of the evidence supports the use of skin carotenoid status as an objective biomarker of fruits, vegetable intake. Skin carotenoids may effectively serve as an integrated biomarker of health. Thus, this biomarker holds promise as both a health biomarker and an objective indicator of fruits and vegetable intake, or as my friend Lisa Bell, an RN, says, the ultimate nutritional lie detector. Here's another one. This is from September of this year, 2 months ago, pretty recent. Single versus multiple measures of skin carotenoids, and it found good agreement between single and multiple measures, a positive association with the total intake of carotenoids, and it said a single Raman resonance spectroscopy measure was reasonably accurate at classifying usual skin carotenoid state. So I think the science is fairly well established about the scanner. Where do you find the Katie White paper? You go to google.com and type in Katie White paper, and everything here except one citation on this one by Zach Cady, the 10 tips for crushing white papers. Everything on that page 1 has to do with what we're talking about this morning. And there it is on my website. Okay, this is the beginning of the scan of the white paper. So I'm going to tell you the 3 critical points. First of all, Sphelas, published in 2004, looked at a bunch of adults studied with serum carotenoids and correlated it with their vitamin consumption. He found that the serum carotenoids, what was floating around in the blood, was a stronger predictor of other antioxidants than alpha, beta, delta, and gamma tocopherols, as well as glutathione, arguably the most important antioxidant in the body. And the reason it's got green around it is this is where the green is. This is something that you need to know. These are the key points. I'm just going to show you 3 of these. That's the first one. The second one is Hata, who correlated the skin carotenoids with carotenoid levels from skin from abdominoplasty patients. Now, where do you get skin to shave it off somebody and grind it up and put it in alcohol and do HPLC measurements? You don't do that for people that want to keep their skin. You do it with people that don't need their skin. People that don't need their skin are those that are having it cut off of their bellies, abdominoplasty. basically tummy tucks. And Hata says, our technique can be used for assessing antioxidant status and the risk for disease related to oxidative stress. And he basically found that the abdominal skin and the were correlated with the serum levels in the body. So when you put it together, Hata, Raman measurements of carotenoid is the same thing as skin measurements. Svila, skin carotenoids were a better predictor of antioxidant status than mixed tocopherols and glutathione, and therefore, my syllogism, Raman spectroscopy is a better measure of antioxidant status than mixed tocopherols and glutathione. It is a very, very, very good measurement. For those of you that haven't had logic, a syllogism goes like this. Cats are mammals. Mammals are alive. Therefore, cats are alive. That's a syllogism. Okay, and sometimes people say, oh, come on, what does that number really mean? That skin carotenoid score, that's just some number that you dreamed up. Well, actually not. As my math teacher used to drone, let y equal 12,703 times x plus 5,891.7, where y is your skin carotenoid score. Now I'm going to make this painless. So it works out here so that there's a rule of thumb that 1,000 on the skin carotenoid score is 0.06 microgram of carotenoid per ml of blood serum, or a skin carotenoid of 40,000, which is a B minus minus, is 2.4 micrograms of carotenoid per ml. So yes, it really does translate into real lab numbers. All right, now, I have heard these things from physicians. You don't need vitamins. You can get them in your food, and by the way, you just pee them out and they give you expensive urine. Or this particularly egregious utterance by a physician, I don't believe in antioxidants. So I went to my pathology book and I found an illustration of this syndrome, and it is the dreaded craniorectal inversion syndrome, where people just aren't getting it. So back to the literature. This is the so-called Ames triage theory of aging. The title is Low Micronutrient Intake May Accelerate the Degenerative Diseases of Aging. And here's how it goes. Inadequate intakes may result in chronic metabolic disruption, including mitochondrial decay. This causes DNA damage such as chromosome breaks in cultured human cells or in vivo. This is a triage theory. In other words, your body will use the nutrients for what it needs to do, but if it's got a limited supply, it won't do DNA repair because it doesn't have enough. It doesn't have enough nutritional currency. Here's another one. This is from the USDA, and it was the NHANES data. 16,103 people over a couple of years that were measured. 0 got 100% of all their required vitamins and nutrients. Only about 2/3 had adequate folate, and the lowest was zinc, where only 1 out of 4 got enough. And guys, I am talking to you, and you will hear about this in just a second in hopefully a memorable way. So what does it mean if you don't have enough adequate folate? It means if you're a mommy, your kid may have spina bifida. Or if you're an adult, you may have colon cancer. This is the limit of the colon. This is a colon tumor. And I'm telling you, this person is probably on the way out. It's correlated with that. If we have any really way up there, esoterically gifted physicians or PhDs, this is a known problem with MTHFR reductase deficiency. If you have that deficiency, you're at increased risk of colon cancer. But I digress. Let's keep going. Back in 2002, these two doctors published that pending strong evidence to the contrary from randomized trials, it appears prudent for all adults to take vitamin supplements. So what's new since the original paper in 2006 and 2008? Well, quite a lot. For one thing, our friend Dr. Angela Maskaludis is busy publishing papers with her buddies. This is clinical validation of a non-invasive Raman spectroscopic method to assess carotenoid. And you can see Raman spectroscopy technology is a valid and reliable non-invasive method to rapidly assess carotenoid nutritional status in humans. Journal of the American College of Nutrition 2009. I emphasize these are peer-reviewed studies. In other words, to get published, a bunch of people have to say, yep, that makes sense. Yep, that makes sense. Okay, no academic hanky-panky here. Okay, we'll approve it. And a number of people have to say that for these papers that get published. Here's another one that got my friend Jonathan Hilberry all excited. This is the it's the EVA study, the Epidemiology of Vascular Aging Study, British Journal of Nutrition. Here's what it said. And they studied a bunch of people, and it lasted for 9 years. If you are a guy and you are in the bottom quintile of carotenoids, you have a threefold likelihood of dropping over dead of anything. Cancer, strokes, heart attacks, you name it, threefold. Did not hold for women. You women are gifted in that way, I guess. But for guys, you have 2 X chromosomes. But for guys, 3 times the risk of any cause mortality and almost double the risk of cancer. Where would you like your number to be? Where would you like your number to be back there? Here's another study. This is European Journal of Nutrition. It was to evaluate vitamin and mineral supplementation. It looked at almost 24,000 people. One of the things that the study allegedly claimed was that no multivitamin supplement had any significant effect, but then they talked about the sick user phenomenon and the fact that when people are sick, they'll frequently take more vitamins, and so it skews the data. What they actually concluded was that baseline users of antioxidant supplements had a significantly reduced risk of cancer hazards ratio of 0.52. That means half the risk. And all-cause mortality, about half the risk. Everybody. Half the cancer risk, half the all-cause mortality risk. Brain tumors. Can dietary antioxidants reduce the incidence of brain tumors? Yes. There is an inverse correlation between antioxidant levels and oxidative DNA damage and grains of malignancy. A decrease in antioxidants are associated with the severity of malignancy, and their conclusion was, it is concluded that administration of antioxidants, not eating fruits and vegetables, administration of antioxidants could reduce the incidence of brain tumors and probably other types of cancer. Am I saying that our products reduce? No, I am not. I'm talking about what is in the published, peer-reviewed literature that anybody with a computer can go look it up. I mean, for me, I'm going to know my number, and I'm going to make sure that that number is as high as possible. Now, what are you going to take? Kind of like Ghostbusters. Who are you going to call? So Karen was talking about, you know, people make their decision on packaging and spend about 7 minutes. Here's one form of packaging. But do you need a system? And I would argue that you need a system. So in LifePak Nano, there is a system. For one thing, there is fish oil. We'll talk about that in a second. Then there are the water-soluble vitamins. Then there are the minerals. Then there are things for bone health. Then there's lots of antioxidants and lots of phytonutrients. And this is the way the nano encapsulation works. By the way, I've got a great Mr. Wizard science experiment that I want to do here in California sometime, but I don't have time this morning. So here's the difficult to absorb nutrient. This is a carotenoid. This is a wrapper, the nano capsule right here, and you can see that the carotenoid is wrapped up in the wrapper. The wrapper is a cyclodextrin ring. It's a little carb. It makes it dissolvable in the watery milieu of the intestinal gastrointestinal tract. So the cyclodextrin ring is benign and digestible, and it doesn't give you calories or make you fat. It just feeds the gut microflora, which is a good thing. And you absorb the carotenoid. Case in point. Oh, one more slide. So here's like the fat-soluble things clumping together like oil in a pan when you're about to make spaghetti. And when you nano-encapsulate it, it disperses so it is more absorbable in between the intestinal villi right here, the fingers that stick out. All right, here's an example of 5-fold increased absorption of coenzyme Q10 when it is nanoized. And the train has left the station. Nanotechnology is already being published. This was an entire chapter in biotechnology and functional foods and nutraceuticals. It's over. It's published. It's established. Nanotechnology is going to be used in the future. Now, I have a provocative question for you. This is a very lovely young lady whose picture I do have her permission to use. Her scan is 81,000. Okay? Can you relax with that? She takes 9 to 12 servings of totally organic fruits and vegetables per day and is on no supplements. Right? Okay. So she's good, right? 8+++. She doesn't need anything else. Well, unfortunately, oh, and my score is 74,000. So, but she's not on supplements and I am. So why do you need supplements? I mean, what else is in there besides that antioxidant stuff, right? Okay. Why can't you just juice your way to complete an optimal health? Get a NutriBullet, put in the kale, the fruit, you know, all the good green veggies, the organic carrots, and just zap away and slurp that stuff down and crank your score up, and then you're good. Forget supplementation, right? Who needs it? Well, you need fatty acids. You need fish oil. Essential fatty acids are relevant for, and now I'm going to begin broadening, because so far I've mainly talked about psych. Here's the psych stuff over here. Depression, bipolar, schizophrenia, autism, ADHD, and learning disabilities. So I don't care about those crazy neurotic people. I want to talk about the real medical patients. Okay, real medical patients. Seizures, rheumatoid arthritis, coronary heart disease. Is that real enough for you? Fatty acids are relevant in them. In fact, if you look at your risk, again, of dropping over dead of a sudden cardiac event, and you plot it as a function of your blood level of omega-3, and you start with the lowest quartile and establish arbitrarily a relative risk of 1, and compare it to the top quartile, there's the relative risk of 1, bottom quartile. There's the top quartile, relative risk of 0.2. What this translates into, ladies and gentlemen, is that you can reduce your risk 5-fold for a sudden cardiac event if you are on an adequate amount of fish oil. That's really profound. That's real medicine. B12 deficiency. Mental, physical. Let's talk about physical. A diminished sense of touch and pain, clumsiness. I mean, I saw this all the time on my Mayo Clinic neuro rotations. Decreased touch and pain down in the extremities. Clumsiness, weakness, pernicious anemia. It's called pernicious because it sneaks up on you and you don't know you have it. Chronic fatigue, tremors, and gut problems. And why do we have this epidemic of B12 deficiency? Well, I have the answer for you. Oh, I have the answer for you in a second. So, what's in LifePak Nano? Well, you have 1,000% of the B12 that you need. You have other B vitamins. You have magnesium and zinc, which are important. You have selenium and iodine, which I'll talk about. You have chromium, which levels out your blood sugar, and you have more antioxidants down here, vitamin C and vitamin A. All right, now, this is why is there an epidemic of vitamin B12 deficiency, and I will tell you is because Larry the Cable Guy did it. Here is Larry. By the way, my favorite episode of Larry the Cable Guy is when he went to Las Vegas and tried to impersonate a Chippendales dancer. It was a memorable episode. So here's Larry, and he is hawking this Prilosec stuff. Prilosec is a proton pump inhibitor. It blocks, it's known as an H1 blocker, blocks the release of gastric acid from your parietal cells. Unfortunately, that means that you can't make intrinsic factor, and you have to have intrinsic factor to absorb B12. And so if you do have intrinsic factor, it goes to the last portion of the small intestine where that complex is absorbed and B12 is liberated. But if you don't have intrinsic factor because you wiped out the acid-producing stuff in your stomach, too bad for you, you'll ultimately get B12 deficiency. This is one of the dangers of chronic proton pump inhibitor therapy. And again, one of the dangers of allopathic medicine. Now take note of this. You used to have this with a prescription. The package insert says, do not use for more than, and I forget, 2 months, 6 months, something like that. Everybody began using it because everybody had heartburn because many people's gut microflora is messed up and they're not eating good food and they're toxic. And so the notion was, well, everybody needs it, so let's just make it prescription free. So now people can go see Larry the Cable Guy, buy the Prilosec, and wipe out their B12 absorption. Here's your brain in B12. If you are in the bottom third for B12 levels, you have 6 times the increased risk of brain volume loss. 6 times. Okay, I have pictures, or as we say down home where I came from, pictures. So here's brain shrinkage right here. And you can see that the accelerated of brain atrophy in the elderly with mild cognitive impairment can be slowed by treatment with homocysteine-lowering B vitamins. They're the homocysteine-lowering B vitamins in LifePak Nano. You can't get that juicing with a NutriBullet. Okay, so it slows shrinkage, but are they sharper? Yes, it appears B vitamins appear to slow cognitive and clinical decline in people with mild cognitive impairment. How about work? Yes, it'll even make you do better at work. The vitamin B complex treated group reported significantly lower personal strain and a reduction in confusion and depressed, dejected mood after 12 weeks. This is frequently one of the things that my patients tell me. You know, doc, it's really bizarre. I'm just feeling better. My mood is better. Well, duh, this is why. Because they're finally on an adequate amount of B vitamins. Here's the effects, this is another study, effects of vitamin and mineral supplementation on stress. Micronutrient supplementation has a beneficial effect on perceived stress, even in apparently healthy individuals. Supplements containing high doses of B vitamins may be more effective in improving mood states. About biotin deficiency, one of the B vitamins. Well, that'll raise your blood sugar if you're biotin deficient. Low biotin gives you increased hyperglycemic mechanisms. In other words, raises your blood sugar, raises your insulin, makes you fat. 2 LifePak Nano packets have 100% of what's the daily requirements. So let's do a quick mad dash through the literature, and I'm talking mad dash. Remember, streaking, I told you. So this is what I saw in the peer-reviewed literature November 8, 2013. And one more time, I'm not making health claims for supplementation. Are you all getting that at this point? Move your head up and down. If you understand, okay, good. Karen, do you think they got that? Okay, good. All right, so here is carotenoids in breast cancer, 1,302 citations. Here's antioxidant breast cancer, 3,744 citations. Basically, carotenoid is a more restrictive term. Antioxidant is a more broad term. Here's carotenoids in prostate cancer, 733 citations. Here's antioxidants in prostate cancer, 1,968 citations. Oh, this one, the #1 study up there, just published in May. Chile has an increased cancer prevalence which is associated with poor quality diets, rising mean body mass index, and sedentary behavior. Does that sound familiar, ladies and gentlemen? All right, so that's antioxidants in prostate cancer. Here's carotenoids in joint pain. How many doctors of chiropractic do we have in the office? In the audience? DCs, this is, we're talking your term, your stuff right here. Carotenoids in joint pain. Here's carotenoids in macular degeneration. By the way, there are 100 more citations in this search category than there were last year. This is an exploding area. This is carotenoids in bipolar disorder, 5, carotenoids in schizophrenia, 34. You get the idea. Okay, so you say, all right, so you've sold me on that. I need B vitamins, okay? So I'll just have some carrot juice and take some high-potency Bs and maybe pop some fish oil. What me worry? Okay, well, the problem is you can be mineral deficient as well. And 20 years ago, it was found that even well-educated adults fall short in their consumption of important minerals, magnesium, iron, zinc, and calcium. Let's talk about magnesium. Magnesium is one of the first minerals to disappear with processed food and stress. It's also decreased by booze, caffeine, soda pop, and allopathically prescribed medication. It's considered the anti-stress mineral. It decreases cortisol, it relaxes muscles, it prevents cramps, it decreases anxiety, and it improves sleep. I use it all the time in my practice, in addition to basic supplementation. Here are the symptoms of psychiatric problems with magnesium deficiency: difficulty with memory and concentration, depression, apathy, mood swings. Not pretty. We were talking about mood swings last night at dinner. Irritability, nervousness, anxiety, insomnia, autism, and ADHD. That's psychiatric. Here's health: migraines, PMS, dysmenorrhea or painful periods, fibromyalgia or fibromyalgia symptoms, fatigue, and constipation. Magnesium's pretty important. Let's talk about selenium. In the FASEB journal, Foundation of American Societies for Experimental Biology, they note modest selenium deficiency may increase risk of diseases of aging. Last time I gave you a quick thyroid course in about 30 seconds. I'll do it again today. This is your brain on thyroid. So the pituitary secretes thyroid stimulating hormone, which goes down to the thyroid gland, and it says make thyroid hormone. Thyroid gland makes thyroid hormone, T4. It circulates, goes down to the liver where it is converted to free T3. This is the actual foot soldier of the thyroid. You don't have enough free T3, you are hypothyroid. I don't care what your TSH is. Now the interesting thing is that this conversion is done by a 5' 3-deiodinase selenium-dependent enzyme. So inadequate selenium means you don't have enough free T3, which means you're functionally hypothyroid. LifePak has 200% of the RDA of selenium. In addition, you have to have iodine to make thyroid hormone in the first place, and LifePak Nano has 76% of the RDA of iodine. This is the reason why people, after they've been on LifePak Nano, come in and tell me, wow, I've got more energy. This is one of the reasons. Now they're making adequate thyroid hormone, they're converting it to free T3, now they have more energy. Now, from another one of my primary medical journals, Muscle and Fitness, the alpha male issue, there was this interesting article on estrogen nation. Studies suggest that testosterone levels have declined every year for the past 4 to 5 decades. Here's what it is. Recent years have seen a substantial and as yet unrecognized age-independent population level decrease in testosterone in American men, and there are the three cohorts that were studied. Age-independent decrease. This means we're not talking about the old geezers. Well, of course, they're going to have low testosterone. Their testicles are shrinking up. You know, what do you expect? We're talking about 20 and 30 and 40-year-olds, age-independent, that have, as a group, the testosterone levels have gone down. And I see it over and over. Well, why should that be? Well, let's talk about the golden arches and weanling rats. I love this study. I love presenting it. I did it last time I was here. That's a weanling rat. It's getting fed right there. Frequent inadequate supply of micronutrients in fast food induces oxidative stress and inflammation in testicular tissues of weanling rats. Now, what does that mean? Well, this is what it means. It means that fast food is bad for you because fast food is low in zinc. It's high calorie, nutrient depleted. So antioxidant processes are dependent on zinc. And if you have low antioxidant vitamins and zinc, you get inflammation in the testicular tissue with underdevelopment of testicular tissue and decreased testosterone levels. Here's another one. For the USDA, 60% of U.S. men between 20 and 49 years of age do not get enough. Note, do not supplement with greater than 50 milligrams. Guys, don't go out and get lots of zinc at GNC now. Okay. LifePak Nano has 100% of the recommended daily allowance of zinc. Don't you want to get you some of that stuff? And, you know, guys, the next time you even think about driving through the drive-through lane at the Golden Arches, you need to kind of look down and say, do I really want to be doing that to myself? Can't get this from carrot juice. Finally, while I'm on a roll, let's talk about erectile dysfunction. So what does erectile dysfunction have to do with antioxidants and multivitamins? Well, there are ways to improve erectile quality. First of all, physical exercise, improved nutrition, and weight control. Seems like we have a product for that too. Supplements, adequate intake, omega-3 acids. Note that there are 4 grams per day in LifePak Nano. Antioxidants, have that in spades. Calcium, got 60% of that in LifePak Nano. And folic acid, we have 150%. So, guys, LifePak Nano might be helpful for you in terms of supporting the structure and function of your body and one of your favorite organs. if you take it. And then, of course, replacement of any testosterone deficiency. Now, that is the review. But I haven't gotten to the fourth guy, and I haven't finished what Karen Johnson set forward for me as my assignment. So this is the LifeGen technology scientist. Here's Joe Chang right there in the middle. This reminds me of Victor Kayyem, who liked Remington so much he bought the company. Nu Skin, Pharmanex, liked it so much it bought the company. This is the reason. LifeGen owns all the current and future genetic data on aging. It monopolizes the genetic knowledge on aging. We have applied LifeGen science to all of the most recent products, and we have unrestricted access to that technology because we own it. That's pretty cool. It builds a barrier to entry. Nobody else can do what we're doing now. And it enhances the Nu Skin product innovation and anti-aging. By the way, Nu Skin, #1 publicly traded company in the world, recommended by Investors Business Daily last week. #1. By the way, I'll just say this in passing. I know that I'm with the right kind of people when the chief fanboy for Apple, Mr. Scott Schwartz, puts on his Facebook page on the day that iOS 7 is released that he can hardly wait to download iOS 7. I mean, we got innovation from the top down. So Pharmanex, Pharmanex Nu Skin, and now Pharmanex Nu Skin and LifeGen. All right, so is this really safe? Are we going to create mutants? Age-lock technology is not gene therapy, genetic engineering, or gene splicing. It is a novel approach to developing products designed to support youthful gene expression. We started on the outside, and we've been moving to the inside. Here's the outside. This is before, and this is after in 6 months. And that's using age-lock technology in the outside products. Now let's shift to the inside, the mitochondria, the little power plants of the cell, the subcellular organelles for energy production for all my biologically educated friends. And interestingly, they breathe their own exhaust. You have to have antioxidants in there. But what happens is their activity declines with age. And here's the reference. You can look it up. So it drops 40% between your younger years and 61 to 84. So, I mean, one way to say it is, 50 and up, you're over the hill. Too bad for you, unless you can reset the genes. Here are markers of decreasing muscle and decreasing brain transcription factors of mitochondria. This is the technology. This is a gene map, those youth gene clusters, and we'll talk about that in a second. This is red. Just think of red hot. These are hot, green is cold. This is young gene expression target. This is where we want to be. This is what genes on a gene chip look like when you get old. This is what happens when you reset the genes with age-lock. This is the reason why the age-lock vitality works so well. So is it bogus or bonanza? So I'm going to present 3 hardcore scientific citations. This is yeast and genes. So this is a comparative genomics of fungal allergens and epitopes show widespread distribution of closely related allergen and epitope orthologs. You can read this article to get sleep at night. But these are the yeast species up here, and these are the genes. This is a heat map. This is the technology that's being used. Here's one by Dean Ornish. And prostate cancer, is that more relevant to you than fungi? This is changes in prostate gene expression in men undergoing an intensive nutrition and lifestyle intervention. This is nutrition talking to the genes. So here is pre-intervention gene expression, and here's post-intervention gene expression. If the lights were down a little bit lower, you could see that more clearly, but it's a remarkable difference. And the only difference between here and here is the foods that these men were eating. Here's active mitochondrial research on energy. These are genes in the mitochondria which are expressed, and the interesting thing is this was published in 2005. This is not new research, but our ability to modify it is. And here for the cynics, this is the actual article, Mitochondrial DNA and Mitochondrial Diseases, and there's the reference. And the full article is available for review. All you got to do is plug in that website and knock yourself out. So age-locked vitality targeted the mitochondria, and it promotes 3 dimensions of vitality: physical, mental, and sexual. Does it work? Yes. And my patients love it. In fact, I've got one 65-ish year old guy that he and his wife by themselves dismantled a long pre-manufactured home. They took a saw, they cut it in half, he ripped the wallpaper, he ripped the sheetrock out, they decimated it, they had it shipped to this metal recycling and parts recycling, and he said people came by and stopped to watch them. Here's the 12-week human vitality study. For some reason, New Skin and Pharmanex did not put any sexual performance studies in here, but that would be a fun study to do. But anyway, this was the mental vitality study. So this is people that were not taking anything, the null group. These are people that were taking the placebo, and these were people that were taking the real stuff. Now you can see that there is a huge jump right here, or huge separation. So I tell my patients, because I've seen this study, I've seen this slide, so I tell, yeah, in about 2 weeks you may notice something. But the study was called at 12 weeks, and they found a 20% improvement on vitality versus placebo in these indices of mental acuity. Now, shifting from our genes to our waistlines, and I will quickly wrap up. This is a citation noting that the increase of obesity is significant. Here, this is from the United States Health 2011 in brief. There is an increase of grade 2 obesity and grade 3 obesity, and excess body weight is correlated with excess morbidity. That means sickness and mortality. That means dropping over. In particular, grade 2 or higher obesity significantly increases the risk of death. So we've talked about low omega-3 fatty acid increases the risk of death. Low carotenoids increase the risk of death. Obesity increases the risk of death. So, and it's a national crisis. $586 billion market in 2014. So how do you lose it? Don't you just hate these skinny people showing their fat genes? Well, in his book, Why We Get Fat, Gary Taubes says it's the insulin response. And the way you get rid of that is you eat less carbs and sugar and exercise more, burn more calories. That was state of the art until recently. Now there is a new technology. And the new approach is turn on your genes and your fat cells to burn more fat and store less fat. That's step one. And change the hunger signaling to the brain by changing gene expression so you're not as hungry. Does it work? Yes. So AgeLock TR90 is a healthy weight management and body shaping program. It is based on gene expression science. It promotes lean muscle maintenance and appetite control. It results in significant weight loss, fat loss, and changes in gene expression. Here's the genetics. So you have 2 identical twins. Well, they used to be identical. One is normal, one is overweight. And you look at the gene expression, and they have different genes that are expressed. You've got the same genes. They have identically the same genes, but they're expressed differently. So the overweight twin has increased storage versus utilization and decreased muscle protein synthesis. So by using this gene-based technology, the focus is on decreasing the fat storage and increasing the fat burning. And the LifeGen preclinical study, and this was a footnote on some of the slides that I've seen. I didn't catch this. Adipose, they looked at adipose, gastrocnemius, this is back here, muscle, and hypothalamus, this is appetite control. Here are some of the ingredients. I've got to keep moving, so I can't bog down, but take a look at those ingredients. Well, actually, I will tell you this. The green tea catechins are known to burn fat. Pomegranate reduces fat, and tart cherry prevents muscle damage, and I couldn't help myself. I had to go to the literature. Green tea catechins, thermogenesis, 19 citations. This is a really good one. This is about green tea, black tea, and epigallocatechins. And what they found was that it modifies body composition, improves glucose tolerance, and it differentially alters gene expression. And this is not a Pharmanex or New Skin study. This is an independent study. Here's the preventative role of pomegranate in obesity. Here's the influence of tart cherry juice on muscle recovery. This basically is showing that you hang on to muscle. And it also helps, the TR90 science helps regulate appetite. It's got a 3-2-1 eating plan, which is designed to complement the supplements. It's the easiest program that I have ever done, and I'm doing it. This shows the deficiencies of most diets. You don't eat enough protein, and then you gorge. So you only have 3 hours per day in the metabolic burn zone. This is with the TR90 eating plan. It's not just about taking pills, it's about lifestyle modification. So, what are you supposed to do with all this stuff I've been telling you about? Well, I haven't told you about the fourth guy. I'll tell you about the fourth guy and I will wrap up. I showed his picture the last time I was here. This is Marcus, my son. How shall I say this? His mother wasn't feeding him a nutritious diet. I am no longer married to that woman. That wasn't why. There were other things. But the lights, you really can't see it, but he started at 14,000 and went to 46,000 in the space of 4 months. He was taking 1 pack of Life Pack Nano divided up so that he took half in the morning. Thank you, Frank. That's wonderful. Yeah, half. There's 14,000. You can see it. Where do you see it? Just leave him down. So this is him now, and he's doing great. So here's my personal close. How do you want to age? I was on my computer and on Facebook, and this image was up on my screen, and actually Marcus came in, looked at it suspiciously, and he said, "Who's the babe?" And actually, it wasn't the babe's picture I was looking at. It was this woman. She and I went to high school together. This guy went to high school with me. This is me in January of 2013. How do you want to age? So, also, the first guy, I don't know what that means. The first guy. Yes, I was the first guy that I told you about. This is the first guy on TR90. I thought, wow, that's awfully narcissistic up there. These are my measurements from 1025 to 11.6. I have lost 3/4 on my waist, 1 belt loop. I've lost 1.25 inches total and 4.4 pounds. And I haven't been hungry, and I've got energy to burn, and that was in 10 days. So the product absolutely works. I close with this. We all have choices to make in life. We have a choice as to whether or not to believe in these products, to believe in a business opportunity, and whether or not we choose to believe that the way we age is largely in our hands by the choices that we make. So there are 2 ways that you can age. These are called survival curves. This is traditional medicine, where you have fun until you're about 50, and then you function until you're about 60, and then you get frail when you're about 75, and then you're in a diaper in a nursing home the rest of the time. That is traditional medicine. Age management medicine is fun out there till about 80, And I mean, we're all got to go sometime, and then a decline. And there is a notion, and I learned this from my friends at Synergenics, of rectangularizing the survival curve, and that is what I plan for me. So this is how it goes. Fun, 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 fail. I highly recommend choice B. I close with this from one of the Mayo boys. For me, the practice of medicine has opened the door to the greatest adventure in life. Medicine is like a hallway lined with doors, each door opening into a different room, and each room opening into another hallway, again lined with doors. Medicine is always wonderful and never will be finished. Every year, there's more to learn. Every month, there's a new citation. Every day, there's a new citation. We live in curious times. In some ways, it's a very challenging time to practice medicine. In another, it is the best time in human history to practice medicine because of the tools and technology that we have available. I thank you very much for being here, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to you.